Hello, hope you're doing good today. And I'm going to talk about my addiction. I've had many addictions. If you didn't know, I talk openly about being addicted to the use of alcohol and binge eating and the multitude of things. Today, I'm actually going to talk about an addiction that I've had that's not talked about a lot. We often think about addiction, we automatically, systematically go to drugs and alcohol. But I want to spin addiction differently because we're all, in some way, shape, or form, coping with some sort of addiction. Now, hear me out. This could be something as an addiction to relationship with someone, that if we took that relationship away, we would be left with facing ourself. That's not the addiction I'm going to talk about today, but I just want to put it in that perspective that we all are dealing with certain addictions. So can we look at addiction as a scope of more than just alcohol, drugs, etc.? My addiction in my whole life has been striving. The addiction to striving to prove something, striving for worthiness, striving to accomplish things, because in younger life, in the education system, or even before the education system, we're taught to prove something. We're taught to get validation. So that's been my addiction my whole life. And I didn't know about it. And most people don't even think about that being an addiction because it's so common and normal in our society to prove, to strive. So maybe I don't remember being little. I don't remember being a kid. I don't remember the details, but I'm just thinking and guessing that somewhere along the way, I learned to prove something, accomplish something, or do something to have someone validate and pay attention to me. I thought that's the way that we gain love and acceptance, is to be what the norm, let me put my ear, I got a hands-free today so I can do air quotes. I guess I learned that if I do X, Y, Z, then I get an attaboy or attagirl from whomever. And then in our school system, we learn that if you make A's, B's, C's, that's okay, but don't make an F because then you're a failure. So we learn this validation system along the way, and it's no fault to our own, it's no fault to anybody else. But nowhere along the journey are we validated for just being alive. You know, we're here to probably make our parents happy by being a good girl or a good boy. Or we're here to make the teachers happy because we get a certain grade. Or then we're here to make our coaches happy because in sports, we want to win. So I just fell into all of these things, constantly wanting to make other people happy. So we do the expected of us. We do the right thing. And that to me has been an addiction that got really intense because in my 20s, I was like, well, I really want to be a good person. I came through, okay, it's probably not appropriate to get wasted and fight everyone because that's what I was doing as a teenager. So I was like, well, let me be a good person. Then I'll go to work, I'll do what they expect of me, and they're going to be like, good job, Bilberry, way to go. Where there should be more people like you. So you get addicted to this, like, oh my gosh, I made that person happy and they're saying nice things to me. So I'm going to keep doing whatever it is. And that has been my addiction. I'm so lost. Absolutely, totally just lost. Following the flowing breeze of like, okay, who can I make happy today? Who can I make happy today? Who can I make happy today? That's been my addiction. And the cool thing about this, or maybe the not cool thing, is that society doesn't honor this as an addiction. That's why I'm sharing this okay, let me paint a picture. This morning, I struggle with another addiction. And that addiction is not being regimented in my life. In the Navy, I would go and work out religiously at like 5 a.m. I would always religiously, because that was what we were supposed to do. We're supposed to be fit and strong. So I would go physical fitness before I would start my workday. It was I beat the traffic and I beat the parking situation. So it was kind of a win-win, but I had gotten programmed that that's just how you have to do it. So I'm 42 now. I'm probably in the best health of my entire life, but I don't do the fitness thing, right? I do the more healthy choice, but it's still a struggle. So when we are addicts, we struggle with making healthy choices. I struggle with making the healthier choice of reading my book, which is I read this morning and I had quiet time to sit and reflect and check in with my feelings and check in with how I'm doing. It doesn't sound like very, go get 'em, but it was so important that I spent my morning in reflection, listening to the birds and having my coffee and having this sacred time before I start giving my time and energy to other people all day. Well, I used to be just addicted to the process of fitness, and if I didn't do that, I had this guilt because I thought that that's the way it needed to be. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with fitness. I just had a twisted relationship with it my whole life. And I think that we can all have twisted relationships with certain things. So I struggle with not getting up and fitnessing sometimes. Like that's literally 4 years after the military, I still struggle mentally with it. And I just reflected because I'm going to my friend's retirement this Friday. And I was reflecting like, oh my goodness, it's been 4 years and some change. I've been out of the Navy. 4 years and some change. Wow. But the first few years, I was in a deep depression. I gained a lot of weight because I needed to just chill. I needed to fall apart from all of that intense burnout that I had experienced in my career. And so I had to let myself rest and I had to let myself gain weight and all of these things that I needed to do. I was talking with my girlfriend last night. I had to have that period of time. And now coming out of that period of time and learning to not strive for everything, I still struggle with sitting with myself. I still struggle with not just allowing things sometimes. I still struggle with not pushing through. And I think that maybe that's normal, but I told my friend last night when her and I were talking that relapse is really good sometimes, because if we relapse through a process, whether I have a relapse with my binge eating or if I have a relapse with striving and, trying to accomplish and prove my worthiness to myself or someone else, if I have a relapse, I can remember how shitty it feels. Or here's a better example. If you have a relapse and you go out and you have a couple of drinks too many with your friends and you have a hangover the next day, you're like, oh man, that was not a good choice. So it's kind of good when we have relapses with whatever addiction we're kind of working through, because when we have relapses, it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's why I'm staying on this course of doing these things. So what I've been recovering from in the past 4 years is extreme burnout and extreme striving and trying to recover from needing to prove myself. And in this process, I've had to sit with myself and learn about, well, what do I really want out of my life? And as you may see, I'm sitting here in my yurt. I'm not sitting in an apartment or a home. I had to go through my own process of finding out things that make me happy. Like hearing the birds in the morning makes me happy. So I choose to live in a yurt because I realize that sometimes in homes, you don't feel connected to nature. And it's a big, important thing for me. So I choose a different way of living and a lifestyle that maybe anyone else might not understand, but makes me quite fulfilled. But I had to go through this letting go and unraveling process and feeling quite lost. And the reason I'm sharing this today more than anything is because I just realized that 4 years ago, I was lost. I was depressed. I was really down in the dumps because I was getting out of the Navy, and I didn't know who I was without that striving and structure and intensity. And when we're recovering from something, whatever we're recovering from, we feel very lost, and we feel confused, and we feel like our world's falling apart, because sometimes when we're letting go of something that's not really healthy for us, our world has to fall apart. That part of us kind of has to die. And I want you to know that 4 years later, there are days I still struggle with the mental aspect of like, you need to be doing this and you need to be doing that. And I spend alone time a lot, and I'm not in a relationship, like a romantic relationship or anything. And so when I spend time alone, I have to remember that just because other people are doing certain things and that's what they do, like, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. We always can think like, well, what's wrong with me? I'm not like everybody else. Well, guess what? We don't have to be like everybody else. And having alone and reflection time is actually very healthy if we're actually using that time wisely. And so this morning, here where I'm located, there's a fitness class going on before 6 a.m. it starts. And so that PTSD for me was, you should be working out. You're lazy. What's wrong with you? Get your ass up. Like, what are you all lazy and lethargic? Literally, that was the messages in my head from my old programming of thinking that I need to get up in fitness at 5:30, when ultimately sitting and reading a book this morning fulfilled my spirit. We have not been told in life that it's okay to do what makes your heart feel good. We've been told to do what makes your wallet feel good, and to have all of these things in life is what success is. But I'm just speaking from my own experience that having peace in my heart and peace here, well, I mean, it's a struggle sometimes here, but having peace in my heart because I'm living the life that I've designed has been an interesting journey. And I want to just encourage you to maybe do the same and be okay with, yeah, we have the voices in our head that call us lazy and stuff, but we have to recognize like that is the programming. You're not lazy, but you've been programmed to maybe do shit that you don't like in a way that you don't like. You can choose and create whatever it is that you want to create. So my addiction has been striving and looking for external validation my whole entire life, and thinking that I need to do A, B, C, D, E because that's what society is saying that you need to do. So you fall into this box that society has created, that is what success is, but only you will know what truly makes you happy. And we do that by having downtime, alone time with ourselves, not alone time that we're spent scrolling through what the world is doing. Literally alone time with yourself to uncover what you need, want, and desire. This is success. If you can have space to listen to the silence and be here, that is where you get the answers. It's not from the internet. It's not from the news. And when we are struggling with addictions to people, places, things, ways of behavior, for me, binge eating, alcohol, drugs, shopping, constantly buying things is an addiction, constantly needing to have a plan, or doing accomplishments and goals, like that's been an addiction of mine as well. I have struggled with so many addictions because I didn't accept that just being alive and understanding what I needed to do for myself is okay. No one teaches this. No one tells us it's okay to just be. And we're constantly thinking, well, what do I need to be doing? Where should I be going? And what should be on my to-do list? And I just wanted you to know that I've struggled with that my whole life. And even to this day, it's a daily thing. So what we call the yoga practice, it's a practice, because the yoga practice is about watching our mind. So I just want you to know that every day I watch the mind telling me that I'm lazy. I want you to know that I watch my mind telling me that I should be working out at 5 a.m. because that's what I did in the military and that's what you're supposed to do. But yet my spirit sometimes needs quiet, reflection, no music, hearing the birds chirp. That's what my spirit needs. But the mind and my ego are like, well, if you're not working out, then you're so lazy and you're not even being a good example for people. And that is not true. Gosh darn it, like this is the struggle within my head. So I want you to know that you are going to have struggle in your head. When you start following your heart, you're going to have these beep, 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 these struggles in your head, because when you start following your heart, the mind is going to, it's going to come in there and just sideswipe you, So we have to be okay witnessing the thoughts that tell you bad things, witnessing it and saying, okay, nope, I'm going to sit and I'm going to listen here, not here, listen here. And so that's the whole thing of yoga. Yoga is not about flexibility. Yoga is not about touching your toes. Yoga is about listening. And this is not a pitch or anything about, I'm trying not to make it about yoga, but it literally has helped me change my life, because you're able to sit with, no one has a quiet mind. Nobody has a quiet mind. But if we can learn to observe the mind and say, that's not a good thought for me. Calling myself lazy, calling myself worthless, calling myself all of these things is not helping the situation. But allowing yourself to sit, breathe, rest, look at birds, look at the trees. It's springtime. I tried to put my arms in the video. It's springtime. So allow ourselves to slow down and witness the beauty of what's going on around us without needing anyone else's validation from that has been my 4-year out of the Navy journey. 4 years, and I'm still struggling with things daily. And I just wanted you to know that. I want you to know that I struggle daily with the voices in my head telling me naughty things because of my programming. You are not alone. And if you ever need help, you can reach out by message or anything, because we are all here to help each other. We're all here to just walk each other home, which is a famous quote. We're here to walk each other home. And if you find yourself being extremely judgmental and critical of others, this is what I was doing. When I didn't accept myself and I didn't know myself, I was the most critical and judgmental of everybody and everything. And that's what I've learned. When I find myself being extremely critical, I know that I'm not listening to my own heart and my own needs, so I just spray my criticism out on other people, things, and places. All right, I hope this helps someone out there, and I really wish you a good week, and hopefully I'll see you soon in the next video. Have a great week.